Right, listen, this is a direct message, a DM to the people involved in organising the world of football. At FIFA, stop and listen to what I'm about to say.
Whoever's involved in this, stop it, because you're ruining football.
There is the news this week that the powers that be in football are looking to trial a new system, a new way to punish footballers for cynical fouls. Its name, the Blue Card. A sin bin that aims to prevent players from pulling off cynical professional fouls and from showing dissent towards referees. The issue is, the idea itself is terrible, and I'm gonna explain during the next 8.5 minutes of this video why exactly we can't allow a blue card in the beautiful game. You know what it is, yeah? There's not even a need for any of this stuff. I don't even see color anyway. As I mentioned in the intro, okay, a blue card is gonna be trialed at the lower leagues, grassroots level, and the aim is if somebody's seen as guilty of a professional or cynical foul, would usually end up in a yellow, they get a blue card instead. Or if they show dissent and it means they go into a sin bin for 10 minutes, like you see in rugby, for example. This is getting out of control, man. In 2 seasons from now, I'm gonna be playing Sunday League and getting a +4 from the ref. You little shit. Speaking of which, Casemiro's gonna have his own card for the referee when he gets his 4th blue card of the match. You understand how frequently dissent and cynical fouls happen in a game of football? Rodri is getting 6 minutes of actual gameplay per match, I'm telling you now. Do you honestly think Christian Romero's making it through an entire Premier League season without getting 38 of these things?
I just still think there's a little bit of immaturity.
It's gonna be a long day when this ends up getting into FIFA and I get a blue card before realizing it's not actually team of the season Ibrahima Konate.
Oh, let's go! That's class! Fucking hell, man.
Speaking of which, this is false advertisement for Diogo Jota. He gets a blue card game week 1. The guy's celebrating. To be fair though, this might be the only thing that can actually chill out Darwin Núñez. Who am I kidding, man? He'll get into a scrap in the sin bin. They're gonna have to create a whole new card for this guy. Look, listen, we're gonna get into the reasons why this could be a positive, but maybe why it could be a negative as well in a second, right? But the first thing, surely the overarching problem, yeah? What if a goalkeeper gets a blue card? How are you gonna sin bin a goalkeeper for 10 minutes? The way they've decided to get around this issue is that you have to either put an outfielder in goal for the 10 minutes, or you just make a permanent substitution with an actual new goalkeeper coming off the bench. We're gonna be seeing a whole lot more of outfielders in goal, I'll tell you that for free. Kyle Walker as a keeper. Well, on the pitch at least.
There's questions that need to be, answered.
Harry Kane's gonna be trying to get out of Bayern Munich's training complex when they attempt to re-profile him as a shot stopper because Manuel Neuer went walkabouts 57 yards outside of his net. And Luke Shaw will be left fuming with Erik ten Hag when the Dutchman puts him in between the sticks because Andre Onana ain't cutting it. Camavinga is actually getting 12 appearances for Real Madrid in between the sticks. Does the blue card also apply to managers, coaches and stuff? If they show dissent down on the touchline, are they gonna get sent to a sin bin? Jurgen Klopp will be managing most games from the stands if he was actually staying at Liverpool next season. So what are the potential positives out of this? What are the good things that could come from FIFA deciding that they're gonna bring in and utilize a new blue card in football? It's not looking good. Now, you know what it is? There could be some use for this, okay? We talked about like an orange card or orange card tackles, right, in the past with football, where maybe someone lunges in or it's a little bit too cynical. It's not a red card, right, because it's not a really high challenge that's maybe endangering the opponent, but it's something so cynical that it's genuinely had a negative impact on the other team. And that's like seen as like an orange card offense. This is, I guess, the equivalent to that, so I can kind of understand when it comes to like cynical fouls. Again, someone like Rodri, like Fabinho when he was playing for us in the Premier League, these guys that are kind of masters of the dark arts. Casemiro is another one as well. They know how to bring someone down in a cynical fashion and maybe get away with it entirely, or at the very least do 6 of them in a match and then only get a yellow card with 5 minutes to go. So maybe it would be good in that sense in terms of weeding out challenges like that so frequently, but then again, you'll just end up with defenders and defensive midfielders being too scared to put in a challenge because of the chance they may be off the pitch for 10 minutes. And it's blue in it. New color, I guess. You might think I'm being negative for no reason, okay? So I'm gonna explain why I don't think this is necessarily a good idea. But I want you guys to let me know down in the comments section whether you think this is actually a good addition to the world of football if it does end up happening. So here's problem number 1. It's yet another color for referees to actually have to think about. Look, I know this sounds harsh, yeah? And I don't trust Anthony Taylor with 2 cards, let alone 3. It's just another way for him to disadvantage Liverpool and Chelsea.
No hair will
will ever grow on his head again.
But genuinely, some referees in this country are already making life very difficult for themselves with the decisions that they make. This weird grey area with VAR when it comes to like significant errors. So if something is wrong, it has to be a certain amount of wrong for VAR to overturn it. If you then start adding in, is it a yellow card or is it a blue card or is it a red card? And then VAR has to determine whether something is extremely wrong between those decisions. It's just going to start getting so muddy. Now, the second problem, I want you to bear with me for a moment, right? I want you to imagine the NFL, the Super Bowl just happened last weekend. Taylor Swift's in the crowd, yeah? She's watching her partner wrestling with other men. But she decides, you know what? I like this American football stuff. Let me try out European football. It might be just as good. She stands up in the VIP box and she's watching Mo Salah flying down the wing before attempting to fly down the wing herself just to get to the stadium bar.
Goodness gracious me.
She's in for a pretty major shock when she realizes that Wizz Airlines don't transport you down from her seat to the actual ground level of the stadium. But I bring this up, yeah, because I saw Ice Spice next to her in the crowd. I do love seeing Ice Spice. Hey, yo, listen. But she was bemused, right? Baffled the entire time. And American football, NFL, can be a little bit confusing. The beautiful thing about football, like European football, is, relatively speaking, it's pretty easy. Like, there's not that much to understand beyond, like, the offside rule. And just all you have to do is slap that ball there in that net over there. It would be so long, like, explaining to someone who's never watched, like, association or European football before why someone's just had a yellow card revoked by a video assistant referee and then they've been given a blue one as well. I feel like a lot of sports around the world are attempting to be a lot less complex than they are at the moment, whereas football, for some reason, is just looking for new ways to clutter things up. And you know what it is? I'm not even being a nostalgia merchant. There are some things that have been added to football technology that's actually made it so much better. Goal line tech, for example, was needed for like 15 years before it actually came in. It was such a big deal when it arrived and when everybody knew that, okay, if something bounces off the crossbar and then bounces down on the floor, you're gonna definitively know whether it's gone in or gone out. We were all scarred by Frank Lampard's ghost goal at the World Cup in 2010. We don't need that to happen again. And it came in and worked perfectly. It's amazing. Unless you're a Sheffield United fan. So that's not even a problem here. I'm not even looking at it as like, oh, you're changing the game. All these foreigners coming over to the Premier League. Back in my day, they weren't even allowed on the front seat. The third reason I kind of already mentioned is the goalkeeper situation. I think that's kind of going to end up being very foolish because you won't want to make a permanent goalkeeping substitute because then when your goalkeeper comes back out of the sin bin, you're going to have two goalkeepers on the pitch. The fourth and final thing, it's going to slow the game down so much. Do you know how often a cynical foul, in inverted commas, happens in a game? Or how many times you get dissent in a football match? I know they're trying to stamp out dissent, but I'm going to be 1,000,000% honest with you. Before you stamp out dissent, you've got to actually make the refereeing standards higher. If you give something that is seen objectively as bad, then you deserve to get a little bit of backchat. No, I'm kidding, but obviously you're going to get pushback. You know, people disagree. I'm not saying, you know, be unnecessary. Don't be like shoving the referee or crowding around, every single player crowding around them. Obviously, that's crazy. But I'm seeing players getting given yellow cards for dissent in the Premier League right now for just like throwing the ball down on the floor. They're not even showing frustration directly like into your face. They're just annoyed about a decision. You are going to see like 4 blue cards a game the way things are at the moment. But the problem that's going to cause, right, is if a team is down to 10 men for 10 minutes, they've got a player in the sin bin, maybe even 2 players in the sin bin for, say, dissent, they are going to just time waste and take the ball to the corner flag for those 10 minutes. I do not need to see Burnley wasting time in the corner flag 15 minutes into a football match. I barely even need to see Burnley at all. And that's early on in the game. What about late in the match? If you know, right, alright, calm, it's the 93rd minute, I've got a guy bursting forward on the counter-attack, you just take the foul. Because there's only a minute and a half of the game left to go. You're not gonna be in the sin bin for 10 minutes. Is a sin bin gonna carry over to the next game? There's just so many questions that need answering. I don't feel like it's been given any thought. So yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, about this one. But of course, let me know down in the comment section what you think. Do you think a blue card would be a positive or a negative for the beautiful game? That though is gonna wrap up today's video, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at TheOfficialFNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.